Welcome to the Daily Dose to the Working with People series. My name is Brian. We are on episode 3 of the Working with People series. And if you need a refresher course really quickly, this started about a week and a half or so ago. I said, listen, one of the most critical skills you can develop in building, your business or creating better social circles or creating better networks or whatever it is, everything ultimately boils down to relationships. It boils down to people. And so one of the most critical skills that you can develop is working with people. It's learning to work well with people. And ultimately, what's the goal of working well with people? Is to develop trust, and it's to develop relationships that are strong, that will bring you repeat business, if you will, or at least repeat connections, okay? And so in order to do this, right, we've got to become better, you and I, at dealing with people. And rule number 1, which is a rule, right, is don't be a jerk. I might have used some other language, but for the purposes of the Daily Dose, I said don't be a jerk. That's rule number 1. Rule number 2 is communication etiquette, right? Understanding that how you communicate with people, whether it's an email or text message or voice or phone, or even personal and face-to-face, communicating with people now, there is an etiquette that should not go ignored because too much of the world is doing that today. And when you meet somebody who has a good communication etiquette, they really stand out and it makes people feel more valued. So rule number 1, don't be a jerk. Rule number 2, understand, know, and practice your good communication etiquette. And rule number 3, which is today's episode, and episode 3 is just follow the golden rule, man. Where everybody remembers the golden rule, right? Our parents taught us this when we were younger, hopefully. They said, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Said another way, says don't ever treat anyone, whether it's in a communication, whether it's in a conversation, whether it's in the timeliness in which you return your phone calls, whether it's the negotiation of a deal, the end result of that deal, never treat anyone in a way that you wouldn't want them to treat you. In other words, if you're coming out the other side of a business deal thinking, I got the better end of that thing, well, that may be true in that moment from a financial standpoint, but you lose when it comes to relationships because that person, if you burned them, will never do business with you ever again. Or if you're in a social organization, they'll never work with you ever again. Or if you're in some kind of club, they won't want to be affiliated with you in any other kinds of clubs or sporting teams or anything else ever again. Why? Because you can't be trusted, or you're in it for yourself, or you're selfish, or whatever the case might be. You burned them, and that's it, man. It's over, right? But if you establish a good business relationship with people by always treating them the way you'd like to be treated, talking to people with respect, giving people those common courtesies, negotiating deals so that it becomes a win-win for both parties, right? Everybody feels good walking away from the table. If you're doing those kinds of things, you'll establish a trust now, and a relationship that will last. And you'll get repeat business. You'll attract more people into your organizations. You'll have more influence with your teams. You'll be a better leader. You'll be a more effective leader or manager. All of these things will come out as a result of treating people the way that you want to be treated. So the litmus test always for me, in every decision, whether it's the decision to send somebody to voicemail, to return their email or not, to try to work out the very best deal for me, right? Every single thing that I do when I'm dealing with people, I'm always asking myself, would I want them to do this to me? And if the answer is no, then you got to find a better way. And doing this now will help you build longer lasting, more meaningful relationships with people. It will allow you to surround yourself with a network of really awesome folks that believe you, that trust you, that like you, that want to do business with you, and you would be amazed at how many doors are opened. Did you ever meet someone who was a great salesperson or a great negotiator or a great talker, but they never seemed to be in the same group of friends for very long, right? Like you meet them one week and they got a whole group of friends, and you run into them 2 months later and they're not talking or working with any of the same people. See, sometimes, not always, but sometimes it's because those are the kinds of people that are not treating others the way that they want to be treated. But conversely, some of the most successful people that I have in my life have been working with the same connections in the same networks for decades, literally decades, because they can be trusted and they treat people the right way. So rule number one, right? Don't be a jerk. Rule number 2, know your communication etiquette. Rule number 3, follow the golden rule always. And rule number 4 is going to deal with networking. So you're not going to want to miss that episode. Episode number 4 coming up on networking on The Daily Dose. You can go to get the previous episodes if you've missed them at www.thedailydoseonline.com. You can also go to Facebook. You can find me there, Brian D. McIntosh. That's my handle throughout all social media. You can find me on YouTube, Brian D. McIntosh. That's where you can find my channel on YouTube. You can catch all the previous Daily Doses from this series and everything before that as well in all 3 of those places. So we will see you online, and we'll see you on The Daily Dose. Have a great week, guys.